I would stop. I've always been very against the idea of taxpayers underwriting these sports arenas, right?
Oh.
Fuck
that
fuck
shit.
that.
Why do I got to pay for the arena?
Why are these guys getting a fucking break?
And I can't even get free tickets to a game?
Right.
Yo,
I'm serious.
Yo,
Like, wouldn't you do that? If you knew that your money was coming from taxpayers, wouldn't you be like, look, we know where this money came from. We're going to get free tickets to the game. Like in college, the students get free tickets. So should the residents of the place, like the residents, if I'm a resident of Dallas, should I not get free tickets to the fucking game?
Barclays Center. It's
a lot of people probably don't even know this.
Bullshit.
A lot of people probably don't even know this. Please explain how an arena gets built.
Well, in the case of Barclays, no, a guy like Bruce Ratner the first thing he did is he claimed intimate domain for Brooklyn.
Which is crazy. Where you basically
downtown Brooklyn is like the hottest real estate market in the world right now. Okay? He got intimate domain. There was some pushback. But basically, he got massive tax cuts that underwrote the construction of the arena. As soon as...
Tax cuts? He got funding.
Funding.
Not cut. We fund it.
Funding.
The city buys your arena for your team.
He sold to the Russian guy who owned the Nets for a long time. He's out. And the value of these teams keep appreciating. But the taxpayer is the one who's footing the initial bill, who's paying for the whole setup.
The pushback, though, Chris, it's not my pushback, but just what people would say is all of the jobs it creates.
A handful of jobs.
Check it. All the jobs that it creates, right? All the jobs.
Minimum wage gig economy.
Chris, you can't kick the cameras for the video podcast.
I'm getting excited here.
It's a 245% tariff on China right now, Chris.
Yeah, exactly. And we're gonna get to that in 1 second. But so
it's good.
So real quick. So what did you say exactly, Chris? It was so the tax break on it, or the jobs that it creates, right?
Right.
I'm really interested in wages. If it costs billions of dollars to build one of these arenas,
right?
I'm really curious in wages to low and middle income workers. How much money or how long it will take to erase the $6 billion or $2 billion or whatever it is we put up to build that arena.
I mean,
you see what I'm saying?
I'm looking it up right now.
You also have to include all the tourists that it brings. All the money.
Everything it does for the economy around the city, around the arena, the restaurants, like all of that goes into play.
Yeah,
and they're able to build. Like if you think about it, if you ever been to the Barclays since it opened, think about all of the new shit that's around the Barclays. You know what I mean?
So then here we go. Ready? This is, you know what? You make up a great point. I'd like to take that back. Okay, you can look that up. I'd like to take that back. So you're saying, Charlamagne the God, that when government intervenes with serious money to spend on projects that develop areas in cities that may not be developed, that it increases jobs, increases opportunities, and increases tourism?
Absolutely, but here's the thing.
Let me just get this point out. So imagine if each one of these cities with an Amazon factory got a nice tax bill at the end of the year, a fair tax bill. Imagine what they could build in their local communities, the jobs that they could create. Because if we're 100%. Funding these things anyway, it'd be nice if the people that are making trillions of dollars wouldn't mind kicking back a little something themselves.
You're right. The only problem is, and I'm not pushing back just for the sake of pushing back, because I'm not really pushing back. I'm just saying what the truth is. When these things happen, these neighborhoods end up being too expensive for the people who've always lived in these neighborhoods when they were bad to live in.
Well, you see that with commercial real estate around Barclays.
Absolutely.
All the mom and pops have gotten pushed out. Yeah.
Gone.
Okay. Now, that sucks. That's unfortunate. It is also great when somebody years ago bought one of those places and they're from the community. They're not just a person who owns a bunch of buildings, but they took their investment from their job and they invested in that community. They lived in that community for decades and then get this opportunity to make generational wealth because of that investment they made in that community. And I know that those are fewer and far between, but it is really nice when you hear those stories. It's a beautiful thing. It's like
most of those, that's usually what they do. They go to these areas. They just don't pay top dollar, especially back then in Brooklyn.
That's the eminent domain shit that fucking pisses me off.
Yes. The worst offender is actually Yankee Stadium. I'm looking it up.
Oh, wow. Really?
Cost more. This is the new one built in 2009.
Yeah.
$2.3 billion to build. The Yankees put up $670 million of that. The rest, $1.186 billion, came from public money and tax breaks.
That's cool.
That's all, you know.
I wouldn't give nobody in the Bronx free tickets though. You gotta keep. Sorry, Bronx. I can completely understand.
Not a Bronx music. Low key.
I can completely understand if you don't want Bronx.
You get rid of the zoo in Yankee Stadium, bro. Ain't nobody going to the Bronx, bro. It's like they need that shit bad. They need that shit badly.
Shout out to the Bronx.
Shout out to Bronx.
What would happen if you took $1 billion and put it into the South Bronx? No Yankee Stadium. Or an old Yankee Stadium that people are going to show up to regardless.
It depends. It depends, Chris. I'm not. Listen, I'm with you. Here's the thing about all of that money and all of those resources. You got to give it to the right people who know what to do.
Exactly. You can't let you. This is what happens, and this is. Let's just be honest. Let's call it what it is. When government is left to its own devices to do these projects, nothing gets done, or not enough gets done. When the private sector that has experience in it does it, you get Yankee Stadium built, you get Barclays built. So maybe there is this version where we let private sector people profit off of these endeavors that we know are beneficial to the city.
But that's what the private sector is supposed to be for, to me anyway, right?
Well,
I'm gonna tell you what I mean by that. Government, the private sector is supposed to fill in the gaps that the government has open, to me. Right? Like, because there's certain things we know the government is not going to do. There's certain people we know the government is not going to touch. We know there's certain, issues, places, the government don't even know what the fuck is going on. That's why you need people who can do the free enterprise thing, build their own businesses, take their money and their resources and put it into these cities, put it into these people. To me, I just feel like private sector should come in when government fails.
Yeah, I mean, but also private sector could just make a sneaker store that's really cool and we want to buy sneakers there. Like,
but are you employing people from the community?
Yeah, or not, or maybe not. Like, it could be whatever I want.
But then that's whack to me. That's what I mean. If I'm a private sector and I create a dope, cool sneaker store, put it in the Bronx, hire people from the Bronx, pay them a fair wage. These people can come in this place every day and, make their money, also be attached to the cool sneaker or whatever it is, and live a cool existence in the Bronx.
I mean, I think that's cool if those are the people you think are qualified for the position, but I don't think you have to hire from that. Like, let's say
you should though.
No, I don't think so. Like, let's say, for example, you have a Mexican restaurant, right, in the Bronx, and it's authentic Mexican cuisine, and the kitchen staff that you want come from a specific place in Mexico, and they've been making this cuisine for 200 years. I don't think you should have to hire Dominicans and Puerto Ricans in the Bronx just because they live there. I think if you want to put out a product, you hire the people that make that product the best possible thing, and if you can ingratiate yourself to the community, you'll probably have more success. The more that you make sure the community feel welcome in your place, the more success you'll have, but it shouldn't be like mandatory to do.
I'm not gonna say it shouldn't be mandatory, but I think it is good business.
I agree with you on that.
Yes,
but I wouldn't say like you have to do it. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a must. Like there are certain things that you want to maintain whatever cultural attribute that thing has, and in order to do that, you might not be able to hire from the direct community.
And the thing I'm saying about private sector, like for me, right, as a business owner, I'm able to use my money to do what it is I want to do. Like, I know that, government funding might be not what it needs to be at this HBCU, but I can provide scholarships, right? I know that this area or over here, might have a shortage of jobs for people in the community, but I can set up something and hire people from that community. That's why I mean when I say private sector should step in when government fails, because government. Government should be able to provide for the poor and disenfranchised if we were taxing the wealthy.
Exactly. Now, here's a good thing about this is interesting. You said that we put how much into the Yankee Stadium, whatever?
How much was it,
over $1 billion.
Okay, so the American taxpayer put over $1 billion. Now, I don't see the Yankees selling anytime soon, right? But let's say Barclays sells, right? Let's say if the New Yorkers put $600 million into Barclays and then it sells. We need that money back, fam. That wasn't a gift.
It's an investment.
That was an investment. And I want if we're putting up that much for it, just like any other investor, we get that piece of the pie. And I think that why?
Because they can say, well, I provided all these jobs, so that chips away at the investment. I brought all this money coming into the area.
Revenue into the city. Yeah.
No.
That's chipping away at
you
this.
providing jobs got nothing to do with anything. When you say you provide jobs, people are taking a chance, risking their own money, opening up a business around Barclays Center. You're not giving them money to open up the business.
People that are working at Barclays.
Okay, so a few hundred people. That's not jobs.
But then you bring
is a lot
tourism.
of
You
jobs.
bring.
It is, but what I'm saying, it's not considering like what that whole community can be, like all the restaurants that are around it. There's barber shops, there's clothing stores, there's residential housing.
I think we forget
If
that when,
Barclays wasn't there, then you wouldn't have brought all that revenue to the area. So then they can be like, yo,
but I think
no.
we forget one thing. When you're
Sorry.
talking
No,
about
that's not
300
right.
jobs, you're really talking about thousands of people. And
Let me just real quick on that. I just want to say it's like that may happen or they may not happen. You're not directly providing them. For example, the team could go up, nobody could show up, and then the team folds in a year. So those restaurants and residential things that pop up out of it, you're not providing them. Other people are taking massive risk, hoping that your investment
Yes.
that the citizens of that city paid for works out. You're not taking away the risk. What we're doing by giving you $600 million in capital is we're taking a risk on you with no real reward directly connected back to us. If the city funds $600 million worth of a $2 billion project, let's call it $500 million, we should own 25% of that project as the city. We could have no ownership stake in terms of what happens in the company. Obviously, private sector works better. But when there is a sale, that increase in the value of the company, like let's say it goes from 2 to 4 billion, we should get $1 billion back. We put 500 million, now it sells for double. You owe us 1 billion, just like you would owe the bank $1 billion if you took out a loan for it.
one thing that you said
Is that like, this seems like basic economics.
The counter argument to this has always been if you as a particular city or state enacted those laws, then the teams would all just rush off to other
But they wouldn't though. See, that's the
Not if all states came together and made
Right, so it would have to
that's
be
the game of chicken that people should start
Yo,
start
go
playing.
to Ohio and do your team then.
That's what I'm
I
saying.
dare you. You don't want a team in New York City?
You really think the Nets was going to stay in
Fuck outta
Jersey?
here.
Like, no, let's go to Brooklyn.
Fuck outta
Because
here.
Brooklyn is the new hotspot. But I want to go back to something that you said about the people who invest around, right? They would never probably have made that investment if it wasn't for something like the Barclays Center. And that's why those big investments are good, right? I'll give you an example. In South Carolina, Volvo built a $500 million plant in an area called Ridgeville. There's no other industry in Ridgeville. Immediately, what do? I go buy land all around
Yeah, smart.
Ridgeville. I wasn't thinking about Ridgeville prior to that. So that's why those things are good. That's why a Barclays Center is good, or an arena anywhere
But
is
did
good.
the city give Volvo money to build the factory?
I don't know.
Maybe
Probably.
they gave them
I don't know.
tax.
I'm not sure.
Maybe they
I'm
gave
sure
them.
they got some tax incentives.
All right, but tax incentives are different. I'm okay with tax incentives, right? Like if you want to film a movie somewhere, you're going to be bringing in 300 people. You're going to be using all these different. There's an injection into the economy, so I understand tax incentives there because that
But
money that
actual
you're paying.
taxpayer dollars.
Exactly.
I don't know.
But if it's actual cash from us, which you have to tax us more to get, right? Or you have to, I guess, like maybe sell municipal bonds
it's
or
bonds.
something.
A lot of it is bonds.
Okay, so, well, that's interesting. If it's municipal bonds, not tax dollars from us, then the people that own those municipal bonds maybe deserve a piece of that. I think the city deserves a piece of it personally, and I don't think that this is a bad idea. I like the idea of incentivizing people to come in with businesses, and I like the idea of tax incentives. But the second you take our cash,
If it's
we get a piece of that.
If it's taxpayer dollars, I like the idea of us getting a piece of it, and I
Treat
like
us
the,
like a bank, dude.
and I like
Treat
the,
us like a bank.
And I like the idea of making it mandatory that you got to hire people from the motherfucking city. If it's our taxpayer dollars,
Sure. I mean,
you got to have a certain percentage of people who work here from the city.
If you want, we could. I'm not that. I think that that's going to organically happen because you're not going to fly in 300 people to work at Barclays.
Shit.
Do you think they will?
Yeah.
Really?
I'll give you another example. I'm just using South Carolina because that's home. But there's like Kiowa Island, right? Kiowa Island is a great resort. People love there, go there and play golf. But you could be eating at restaurants in Kiowa. And if you're from Charleston, you'll hear an accent, but you'll be like, that ain't Geechee. But then you'll talk to people and it's like, oh, we're from the Caribbean. They flew us in here to work for a certain amount of time, and then we go back. And I remember sitting there with my homegirl, Ashley, salute to AJ. I remember like, why wouldn't they just hire people from the area? Why would they fly people in? Because there's programs that actually take people, put them into, like teach them how to do the, I don't know, what's the hospitality business, and then they work at these resorts. But I think that those resorts should have to hire people from South Carolina.
I think it's a noble thing. I don't think it should be mandatory. I think once you get into DEI, And it's not DI in terms of like race, but it's DI in terms of like area or whatever. Like once you get into like forcing companies to hire a certain way, it's harder for them to control the outcome because they're not hiring based on merit. They're hiring based on location. So I think it just potentially fucks
But
up
what
the
if you
product.
took those people and trained them? What if you took those people
Sometimes
from
you train
there?
them and they're not
Because
good.
I'm just trying to make our taxpayer dollars benefit us. All of this money that we're kicking out in taxes, I want them to come back to the poor and disenfranchised. Why not take people from those areas, train them, and then let them work there?
I guarantee you, if business flourishes in an area, and they actually pay their tax debt as they should, I can't guarantee you because government will find a way to fuck it up.
Man,
That's the thing. And that's why I think government should be working with the private sector. I'm not against the private sector coming in. Dude, you don't even have to pay us the city back based on the new valuation of the franchise. Pay us back on whatever a mortgage rate is. So like if we give you 600 million to make it, you sell it 10 years later, 6% a year on those. I think that's fair because realistically, these rich people, they could also just get a loan out from the bank, right? Like they could, so just we'll match whatever the bank would give you. You're still incentivized to make your money. We get our shit back and we get all those jobs. This to me seems incredibly fair, dude. And if the business loses money, we took that risk with you.
Yeah.
But if it makes money,
that makes more sense.
give me a little something.
Yeah.
I don't think that's
There's
crazy.
also never been one that's lost money to date.
That's the thing. It's like baseball will probably be the first sport to fall apart. And that's going to be interesting to see what happens.
well, let the record show the last U.S. president to tax the rich was Barack Obama. The American Taxpayer Relief Act.
He's also I mean,
he did what you wanted him to do. Don't hate now.
no, he didn't. He gave Goldman anything they fucking wanted.
Okay.
Like, stop it. That's not the example you want to use.
Well, it is. It's true. I looked at the most recent U.S. president to implement significant tax increases on high-income earners was Barack Obama.
But that's the exact thing we're talking not about.
You don't want it to be high-income earners. You want it to be actual corporations.
Tax people proportionally. But what happens is,
Well, he did something called the Buffett rule, aiming to ensure that millionaires pay a minimum effective tax rate of 30%.
We're not worried about
that. Didn't
millionaires.
pass Congress, though.
we're not worried about millionaires. We worried about
But
billionaires. We worried about, like,
that would impact the billionaires as well.
I'm worried about corporations more so than the billionaires because even the individuals, you can't tax them because they'll find ways to not even make money or they'll keep them in these
It's all
dummy
about the loopholes. You got to close up the
Yes,
loopholes.
And then when you close them up, they're going to make new ones. But it has to be a conscious effort every single day. And that's essentially like, this is going to sound like I'm supportive of bureaucracy, but like capitalism is amazing. It's incredible. It's brought more people out of poverty than any other system that exists in the world. But we have to recognize that there are times where it can be disadvantageous to the people within that country if it is done with such a level of greed that there is a lack of concern.
I like the socialist talk here.
Socialist talk.
But
no, it's not
but I've
socialist talk,
always-
actually, though.
Smart capital or whatever compassion.
Compassionate capitalism.
Stop even using that word socialism because it freaks people out. Like
That's true.
Compassionate capitalism.
Just
By the
call
way,
it
that's
capitalism.
what Bernie fucked up too.
I'll be honest. I don't think when corporations don't pay their fair share of taxes is capitalism. I think that's theft. I'm just talking about regular capitalism.
If they're following the rules, technically.
Yeah, it's not that.
Well, we also have a situation where 20,000 IRS agents just resigned yesterday. The failure to pay taxes, not me, I pay my taxes, but the failure for a lot of people to pay taxes is going to be at an all-time high right now. It's going to
They
be.
should have told me that shit. There was tax day yesterday.
I wrote a nice check.
We're the first ones they come for. Who
Right.
do you think is the most recent U.S. president to enact a significant increase in the corporate tax rate?
It's not corporate tax rate.
It's the enforcement. It's not the rate is the issue.
No,
The rate's
he
important.
enacted a significant.
Yo, shout out my man Bernie. Knows
He
what
taxed.
Bernie just texted
Well,
me.
who's the last person
Wait,
that
what?
taxed corporations? Who
Bernie
you think?
just texted
Big Bill.
Who?
Big Bill?
Big Bill.
All right.
You
Right.
know, Big
Hold
Bill
up.
Clinton. And because when you go back and you look at the National Partnership for Reinventing Government, one of the reasons that America was able to have a surplus through that whole time wasn't just because they went through the government and they found a lot of ways. It's because they taxed these rich-ass corporations. In 1993, he signed the Omnibus Budget Reconciliation Act, which raised the corporate income tax rate from 34% to 35% for corporations with taxable income over $10 million. This legislative change was part of a broader effort to reduce the federal deficit and marked the last time the statutory corporate tax rate was increased. Big Bill. I don't know why. Fuck Democrat. Fuck Republican. I don't know why people.
It's not the corporate tax rate, Charlotte.
What is it then?
Did you just say Bernie Sanders just text you?
Yeah, but like the one we all get.
So what is
Oh,
He's just begging.
So if it's not the corporate tax rate, what is it?
It's tax loopholes. So it's like you could make the corporate tax rate whatever you want. What they'll do is they'll take the corporate headquarters and they'll put it in a country that gives them tax incentives. Like I think Ireland was doing this for a little
Ireland's
bit.
Apple is in Ireland.
Yeah, so it's like that should be illegal. Keep the corporate tax rate. Yo, you could make the corporate tax rate 10%, 15%. It don't matter the percentage. Right now it's 0% when they could just take the headquarters and put it in a country where it's zero.
It does matter the percentage though. 35% is a lot.
No,
they hate that shit.
No,
That's why Bill Clinton was the last person to do it.
No, again, that's what I'm saying. I would rather it be lower. Like I'm basically saying to these corporations, yo, let's find a number that we think is fair and payable. And now we're going to close this loophole where you cannot pay it, but we're not going to gouge you at like 40, 50%. We could do 15, but you got to pay it. And we're going to close all the loopholes so you can pay it. And we're going to give you a leeway. We're going to give you a year or two to organize your structure so that you can pay these things without shaking up the stock market and making it looking like your dividends aren't paying out the same that they used to be. We're going to work with you, but you can't not pay because when you don't pay, you're not part of capitalism. That's oligopoly. That's fascism.
Who is the most?
I don't really know what fascism is, but
Not
it
quite
sounds like it.
fascism.
Hold on.
But no, is it what is it called?
I mean, that's fair. But the question is,
It's a corporatocracy. Is that the idea?
suppose Tim Cook then turns around and says, fine, I'm going to give you your 15%. I'm going to pay it every year. But I got to pass that along to somebody. So
Yeah.
now iPhones are 2,000.
Yeah, I dare you to try that shit. And the free market in a capitalist society will tell you how often I want to buy an iPhone.
Do it with something else other than iPhones. These motherfuckers gonna spend $2,000 on iPhones.
Okay, well, if we're going to spend $2,000 on an iPhone, then we got $2,000. What I think will happen is that people will start going, you know what? I don't need a new iPhone every year. I need one every 2 years. And then you know what you just did? You sold your iPhone for $1,000 a year, which is the same price. So the free market's going to let you know what time it is. And that's why I believe in capitalism. They're
right.
stealing. Let's not call it capitalism.
They're
right. Stealing.
Except for iPhones. These motherfuckers.
I get an iPhone once every 4 years, man.
Yeah,
That's
but
fine,
I
man.
hate
It's
getting
bullshit.
new iPhones, bro.
But I don't believe you. Number one.
Oh, no, that's
Right?
the truth.
Me,
That's
Dennis,
the
I get a new
truth.
iPhone. You believe me.
When the last time you got an iPhone?
I have a
Chris?
13. When did the 13 come out? And I was late.
I don't even remember.
Yeah,
I was late.
Most
when
people
that
get
came
them
out.
shit when they drop.
There's no need to.
Bro, I don't do that shit.
I agree with you because there was a time when you did your update on your iPhone, that shit would start fucking up.
Yeah.
And you would have to go buy a new one. Okay, listen, the most recent U.S. president to successfully implement measures targeting corporate tax avoidance. Who do you think it was? The last president who successfully implemented measures targeting corporate tax avoidance. So he closed up the loopholes. Who do you think it was?
I don't believe he closed up the loopholes, but Barack Obama.
Joe Biden.
Well, we know for a fact he didn't. Well, actually, I guess he did. That's why Amazon paid.
The Inflation Reduction Act.
How much did Amazon pay last year? Zero. How much
Yes.
does
You're right.
Apple?
No.
It's like, get the fuck out
No,
of
this
here.
is 2022. In August 22, he signed the Inflation Reduction Act and introducing a 15% minimum corporate tax on companies with at least $1 billion in profits.
Can I tell you?
The legislation aimed to ensure that large corporations such as Amazon and FedEx, which had previously paid little to no federal taxes, contributed to a fair share of the federal revenue.
But they don't. So then we just proved it because last year
and prior
they
to
paid
that,
zero.
it was Obama.
So we just proved last year they paid zero. So we know that they don't do it, but they should do it. And
But gotta give Trump props. 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act reduced the corporate tax rate from 35 to 21, but did not effectively close existing loopholes.
yo, what? Well,
So that just makes the problem worse.
Well, when he did actually. So what he did start to do, like Trump did a few things. I don't know if you remember that shit. Like basically there was all these like write-off loopholes that we all used to do where you go, oh, I could, if I work for a company, I could just write off all my meals as part of it. And now like you have to be the corporation in order to do it. Whereas before you just had to work for the company and then everything you did in your life was a write-off. So they're making little
The write-offs
attempts.
weren't as good as the suck-offs, though.
No, the suck-offs was crazy, bro. It's crazy. I mean, he's known for it.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Just as you're fucking putting the shit on your lips.
Yeah, you look like you're preparing.
What?
He's
What?
getting ready for
What?
something.
I'm not joking. You don't know what the suck-offs is?
What's the suck-offs?
I'm not doing it. It's not even.
What's the suck-offs?
Nah, just not even the same. Don't even.
All right. Y'all want to hit these bit, bro?
Hit the ads.
Oh, okay. Let's do some ads, man. Let's do some ads. You want to do Squarespace, Schultzy?
Thanks again.
But tax the rich is the moral of the story.
Tax the corporations.
Yes, tax the
I'm
corporations.
paying my share.
Thanks again.